Just a little over a week ago, Kara and I took a weekend trip down to Universal. This was long overdue, as the last time I visited Universal was back in 2007, so yeah, a lot of things have changed. There were a lot of attractions I needed to score a ride on, but none I was more hyped for than VelociCoaster. This is a multi-launching roller coaster by Intamin Amusement Rides. The ride officially opened on June 10, 2021, and has quickly become one of the most popular attractions at the Universal Resort. In fact, the coaster hit 1 million riders within 2 months' time. Before I get into my review, just want to leave a friendly reminder that you can also follow me on Instagram. I post daily content, so go check it out. Presentation. Being an attraction at Universal, I think it comes with no surprise that theming will earn a perfect 10 score. With that said, call me a critic, but I still think there are some things that could have been done differently, but we'll get to that soon enough. Majority of the theming will be found inside the ride queue, which includes appearances by major Jurassic World characters like Mr. DNA, Dr. Wu, Claire, and Owen. After weaving through the queue that takes place outside, guests enter inside a giant room where Mr. DNA talks about the Velociraptor. After leaving the first room, the overall theme of the ride becomes apparent. I've always assumed that VelociCoaster was supposed to mimic a velociraptor, like riders were raptors running around in the paddock. Well, part of that is true, I guess. The theming is simple. Guests are bored with the normal viewing platforms in the park and are looking for more excitement, and of course a phrase repeated many times, more teeth. So, InGen came up with a brilliant idea. Let's build a roller coaster inside a raptor paddock. Let the guests get up close and personal with the dinosaurs, but still keep them out of danger. The whole scene with Claire and Owen, which I can't show you because you cannot take your phone past the security checkpoint, discussing the ride is cheesy, but still enjoyable. Oh, and since we're talking about security, so yes, you can take like your phone and things with you into the ride queue, but once you get to the security checkpoint, which is actually pretty close to the actual station, you'll have to put it in a locker. For those who are curious, both Kara and I had camera bags with us, and we actually managed to fit all of our equipment inside a locker. We both had our own individual locker, and we did make it work. We did have to move some items around, but overall, you can make it work. If your items do not fit inside the locker, what they'll let you do is one member of your family will have to wait in the family room while everybody else rides, and then you swap afterwards. But let's get back to theming. Now, as for more that could be done, this is me being critical, but I would have loved some animatronic dinosaurs instead of the statues that they currently have inside of the raptor pen. Now, this is just a bonus, but wouldn't it be cool if there was some sort of Mosasaurus that riders pierce through during a Mosasaurus roll? Again, that's just bonus. The theming does the job well, especially when you include all aspects with the queue, station, and surrounding area. Ride intensity. VelociCoaster is one wild ride. This is an action-packed attraction from start to finish. The ride begins with a nice LSM launch. It has a little bite to it, but nothing overly intense. The first inversion, an Immelman, is probably the best of this inversion out there. If you are riding in the front row, this element gives you some ejector as you pull out of the maneuver. The back row will provide some fun hang time and floater exiting the inversion. The coaster then travels immediately into the next inversion, a dive loop. Same scenario, front row gets some airtime entering the inversion, while the back row will experience more hang time. Also, there's some fun laterals that you will experience during these two elements. Do not underestimate these two inversions. Normally I would gloss over a typical Immelman or dive loop, but these two elements are top notch. Next, the coaster enters a series of turns and banked airtime hills, all while dodging the statue raptors and rockwork. After one final turn, the ride enters the second launch, a rolling launch that propels you to 70 miles per hour. If you thought the first half of the ride was good, well, hold on to your butts, because the second half of VelociCoaster is about to accelerate from good to epic. Starting off with that top hat, this is a fantastic moment of airtime. If you are in the back row, be prepared for some amazing ejector airtime. I'm talking Skyrush level intensity. This is an incredible moment. Those up front will still get some airtime, just not as intense. The zero-G stall is exciting with hang time and its snappy transitions in and out of the element. The ride doesn't slow up by immediately throwing you into a wave turn, which will give you a pop of airtime. Then we have an outer banked turn. This is where you'll get the best laterals on the ride. After one more overbanked turn, VelociCoaster enters its grand finale, a speed hill followed by the best element on the entire ride, the Mosasaurus roll. This is a low to the ground, or water in this case, 0G roll that gives you what I'm calling upside down ejector airtime. Midway through this element, the ride feels like it's going to eject me from my seat right into the body of water, which is only a few feet from my face. The fun doesn't end with this element, as the ride enters a double-up banked turn that provides airtime in laterals before slamming into the brakes. VelociCoaster is one heck of a ride that improves on every element right up to the brakes. I haven't been able to say this about a roller coaster since like Lightning Rod. This is an intense ride on so many levels. It plays with your senses, fears, and emotions. It may not provide a gray out moment, not to say that you can't gray out because I'm sure you could, but I didn't. You know a ride is intense when you normally ride with your hands up, but you keep reaching for the restraints, which is what I did during my first ride. Anyways, I wouldn't say that this is the most intense coaster like Intimidator 305, but it's an aggressive one, filled with variety, which is why I think it deserves a 10 rating for ride intensity. Fun factor. I mean, if you're a fan of dinosaurs, then this category is an easy 10 on that subject matter alone. VelociCoaster is loaded with great elements that can't stop me from smiling. The airtime moments are often and fantastic. I never thought once, that was okay during any airtime moment on this coaster. In fact, I had the complete opposite reaction. VelociCoaster surprised me at every bend, hill, and inversion. You think that it's going to do one thing, and then the forces do something else. The Top Hat and Mosasaurus roll are the highlights of this attraction. I can't get over how good that roll is. So in case you were wondering where the best place to ride VelociCoaster, I would say is the front row. However, you can't forget about the back row because that Top Hat is best experienced in that back row. That's where you're going to get that insane ejector airtime. Overall, you can't go wrong with any seat that you choose, but I think the best experience is found up in the front row. Now, not exactly related to the fun factor category, but let's talk about operations because good operations plays an important role into the whole ride experience. Let me just say this, Cedar Fair, if you're listening, it's time to start working with Intamin again because VelociCoaster has some of the best operations of any coaster in the US. Call this ride Old Faithful because every 55 seconds, you'll see another train climbing that Top Hat. I was blown away with how efficient this attraction is. I timed many dispatches and that 55-second benchmark was held all day. Sure, there are moments where the ride would go down, but it would be back up and running in minutes, hitting that 55-second benchmark. Now, I haven't been on Iron Gwazi yet, that'll be in a few weeks, but anyone show me an RMC that will keep up with VelociCoaster's operations, and I'll eat my shoe. Fun factor gets a 10. Originality. As I mentioned earlier, VelociCoaster is a ride that continues to one-up the last element right through to the end. The second half is some of the best pacing I've experienced on any roller coaster. It's fast, relentless, and exciting. The first half shouldn't go without praise either because those two inversions are fun, plus the many near-close encounters with the raptors and rockwork will keep you engaged. Every element is unique, keeping that layout fresh. Intamin took a couple traditional inversions, the Immelman and Dive Loop, and found a way to make them exciting again. The Mosasaurus roll is more than a simple 0G roll. It's a fast-paced, intense maneuver that is sure to surprise. Originality gets a perfect 10 score. Ride smoothness. So after multiple rides, I can say that VelociCoaster is pretty darn smooth. I did notice a quick rattle during the second launch, but it only happened once or twice after multiple rides. Any roller coaster can get a slight rattle here or there, be it the weight distribution and whatnot. Overall, the ride is great with excellent transitions and comfortable restraints. The restraints are like over-the-shoulder lap bars, upgraded versions of the ones found in Skyrush, just so much better. Ride smoothness gets a 10 rating. The final score comes with no surprise, 10. VelociCoaster is a masterpiece by Intamin Amusement Rides. They have made a roller coaster that excels on so many levels: the theming, interactions, elements, restraints, and operations. This is the new era of Intamin, and I'm excited to see what they have in store for us over the next few years. My personal score is also going to be a 10. This is a top 5 roller coaster. It has everything that I want in a roller coaster. I'm a fan of Jurassic Park, so a coaster well themed to this property is a no-brainer. The layout is solid, producing some of my favorite inversions and airtime moments on any roller coaster. I can't get enough of that Mosasaurus roll. It's so insane and surprises me every time I ride. As to call this my new favorite roller coaster, I'm not sure, but it has the makings of a real winner. Because I'm a critic, there will be small things I'll nitpick at, but again, it doesn't really matter in the long run. There isn't anything I would change or add to the layout. The pacing is perfect, the restraints are comfortable, and the operations are mind-blowing insane. I mean, according to my data, this ride can send well over 1,500 riders an hour. So, should you plan a visit to Islands of Adventure to ride VelociCoaster? I'm pretty sure you already know that answer, and it's of course. Even if you've been to the park a couple years ago, VelociCoaster by itself is worth the admission. Let alone some of the other great attractions in the park, like Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, which I'll discuss in a later video. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. For those who have been on VelociCoaster, tell me what you think in the comments below. For those who haven't been, what are you waiting for? Book your flight right now and check out this masterpiece. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like this video, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe. That way you continue to get more great content brought to you by Extreme Thrills.